Hey everybody, welcome to another video. So today we're going to do cast on crit Ice Nova with vortex as well. I took a little break from the game and spent some time over the last few days making some builds. Just did the actual just straight up vortex self-cast build. I took that one. I like the idea of vortex because of the damage over time, leaving stuff on the ground, and I love cast on crit builds. Cast on crit Forbidden Rite is probably my favorite build I've ever played. I took it as far as it can go, and Ice Nova is a pretty cool skill, so thought I'd just combine them and see what happens, and it works out pretty well. The basics of cast on crit are what they are. A lot of the gear that I have in my Forbidden Rite, and also the vortex build, the last video that I did, carries over to this one. The body armor and the shield as well, and then obviously the mageblood. I've been running a dedication to the goddess and actually got lucky and got the enemies withered, have negative $6 resistances. Unfortunately, I didn't have this when I had my cast on crit Forbidden Rite build, but I put it on there because I don't need accuracy, because that's what I had before, like increased accuracy while you have onslaught. So the enchant doesn't really do anything for me, but anyways. Basically the same concept as the cast on crit Forbidden Rite dagger. Just get a rune dagger. This one I got +1 level of all cold spell skill gems. Pretty simple. They're actually fairly cheap. And do deafening essences of zeal till you get crit multi. I don't need crit chance on this, so it's pretty nice. And then you just do suffixes cannot be changed, veiled chaos orb, and craft increased physical. And then OP Unveil, spell damage. Took me like 3 or 4 tries to get it. Do a demon dagger, you can do any kind of dagger as long as you have the increased global critical strike chance on the implicit. Could get it up to 30% quality, and then do the harvest enchant for increased critical strike chance or increased attack speed. I'm only at like 8, a little over 8 attacks per second right now. You can get up to 10.1. For the helmet, just a crown with increased Ice Nova damage. In standard right now, there's only 1, and it's like 40 divines for whatever reason at the time that I'm recording this. Ashes of the Stars with Charisma anointed on it. Same Aegis Aurora shield. Then there's a +1 max power charge ring because you are power charge stacking. I have 8 right now. For this one, I just hit it with Deafening Essences of Hatred. So I got some res and some strength. Craft on channeling skills. Body armor, it's the same one. Discipline on Curse Auras for the Cyrenex Arc Eater of Worlds. It's literally the same exact body armor that I've used. I haven't changed it since I got good res and the T2 increased armor, evasion, and energy shield. I don't need the evasion, but the armor and energy shield's nice. I could try and roll the dice, recombinate it onto like a Val Regalia to get a lot of energy shield, but I don't want to risk losing that mod. As I said in the last video, and know what this armor is, they're very expensive. Even just the 50% one is super expensive. For the other ring, it's the same ring that I used on the vortex build. You didn't see that video. Literally just, I don't need the chaos res on the implicit because I am CI on this build as well. But yeah, it's just a redeemer ring. I reforged caster and harvest and got super lucky. I was just trying to go for frostbite, and I ended up getting full damage against chilled or frozen enemies and increased effect of non-damaging ailments, which is chilled and frozen for me. I'm gonna do brittle. Yeah, it was pretty nice. Mana regen, okay. And then just craft on non-channeling skills. As far as the gloves go, these are actually the same gloves that I used for the cast on crit Forbidden Rite build. I just bought a pair of sorcerer gloves that had the +2 maximum cold res, because it's super hard to get. You have to use the Orb of Conflict. You have to roll it with grand orbs and then win twice on the gamble for Orb of Conflict. If you don't know what that is, there's a lot of videos on there about that, but yeah, so I just bought a pair that already had the +2, and then I used the Eater of Worlds orbs to get inflict cold exposure. And then what you do is you just hit it with Deafening Essences of Zeal until you get, you know, a stat that you need or something like that. Energy shield recharge rate was nice. That helps a lot. And then Do Veiled Chaos, or suffixes cannot be changed. Veiled Chaos Orb. Craft on Fizz as something. And then unveil and hope you get +2 level of socketed AoE gems. And then the mana was nice. I got that when I hit it with the unveil. Mageblood's Mageblood. These are the same cooldown boots that I used for the Cast on Crit Forbidden Rite build. This time I did a chance to avoid being stunned, so I just ran a couple Gifts of the Goddess. So I got that. The same boots. They're double elevated. I do have a video that I'll link right up here somewhere on how to craft them. Pretty much the same same flasks. The Legacy Granite Flask. Got Diamond Flask with increased attack speed, double increased effect. Double elemental resistance Bismuth Flask. And then Quicksilver Flask with reduced mana cost of skills during flask effect. If you don't know how to get crafted mods on your flasks, all you do is you buy veiled or non-unveiled Cinder Swallow flasks off a trade, and then just unveil them until you get it. And then as long as you have an open suffix on your flask, you can just go to the crafting bench and craft them. And then Bottled Faith. Alright, as far as the skill tree goes, it's pretty much the same skill tree as any Cast on Crit build. I didn't really change too much. I took this out from my Forbidden Rite. This is the same character that I used for Forbidden Rite. So I just got rid of this, you know. Cold damage, large cluster jewel with blanketed snow. And then widespread destruction for some more AoE. LE damage. Basics of Pain, quick getaway to get my crit chance capped. Replica conquers efficiency. This is pretty mandatory because it does use a lot of mana on this build. You're always casting Cyclone, and then you're always critting, so you're always casting Ice Nova, plus you need some mana for Vortex as well. This one I've had for a while. The Corrupted Blood cannot be inflicted on you. And for this one, this one's pretty expensive. Just for the Discipline and the Precision mod. You don't have any life, so you have to leech Energy Shield and regen Energy Shield as much as possible. And then over here, just another spell damage, large cluster jewel. You get Mage Hunter, which increases your chance to block spell damage, plus some spell damage, and gain a power charge when you block. Arcane Heroism, you get Arcane Surge when you hit a unique enemy. You don't need it, and you're just mapping. As you can see there, it gives you 10% more spell damage, and some mana regeneration as well. Another crit, medium cluster jewel. Just take pressure points, and then crit multi with cold skills, some attack speed, energy shield recharge rate, and AoE. This one got an AoE medium cluster with magnifier, which gives you increased AoE and increased crit multi. Then vast power, more area damage, and increased AoE per power charge. So like I said, I have 8, so it gives me 24% increased AoE. Then I am running this, which I don't mind it. I mean, these help a lot because then I can run Profane Bloom. Obviously helps with mapping, and then I can get Malediction as well. They're about 70 to 80 divines for the pair on standard. Down here, Melding of the Flesh. So this is the Legacy one. The new ones, you can get the negative 70%, but then also gives you -4 to max res. So you can't get to negative 90 or 90% res unless you do some real real good rolls and get a lot of extra levels for your device and increased effect of non-curse auras. So if you're not playing in standard, then the most you could get would be, I guess, 86% res. Pretty much, you know, the same. Got -10 LA res, Thread of Hope. You can get Glancing Blows, which doubles your chance to block attack and spell damage. You take 65% of damage when you block as well. And then Divine Shield. You can see it there. As long as you have a lot of armor, then that's fine. And then 3% physical damage prevented by hits recently is regenerated as Energy Shield per second. The Militant Faith, large Timeless Jewel, really the only one here is reduced mana cost of skills. I could get a different one. It has a better one. The channeling skills doesn't really matter. Cyclone doesn't actually do any damage. But you put that here so that you can get this more spell damage per power charge, and then power charges instead of frenzy charges. We don't really generate frenzy charges, so it doesn't matter. Wicked Ward still. As I said, you know, you only have energy shield, so once it starts regenning, if you don't have this and you get hit, it'll stop. As long as you have this on, then it'll keep filling up until it gets full. Yeah, other than that, I mean, just pretty basic. Of the POB in the description, obviously, and you can look at it, but we'll pull it up as well. So you can see what we're working with here. It's only 2.7 million damage, but super tanky. So you can just stand there and take a beating and not die. You can see here 90% all res, max block chance, spell block chance, 61,000 armor. You know, only have 4,100 energy shield, but it's pretty nice. If you do import this, then you will have to change all these so you can get an accurate count. So obviously using power charges, we have onslaught, tailwind, concentrated ground, always critting, pretty much always killing. I see a lot of people do this where they add like -15 to cold res. It seems a little like POB warrior to me, because if you go into the calculations, do Ice Nova, it already calculates what you have. You can see there, Frostbite does -12, Void Beacon does -20, my gloves do -12, so that is what their resistance is. They actually end up having -7 because it's based on a boss. So if you come in here and you do -15, you go back, it's not actually correct, because then it says you have -72% res. So I just like to keep it at 0. Or 50, I guess. They are chilled and they're shocked because of Tempest Shield. So we'll go individually go over all the gems that we're using as well. So Assassin's Mark with Anomalous Mark on hit. This reduces the mana cost of Assassin's Mark. Precision to get the blast charge affected by precision. You just literally need this level 1. You just need to be able to run precision. On the helmet, got Hypothermia, Awakened Swift Affliction, Divergent Bone Chill, Vortex. The shield, we got Tempest Shield, Enlightened Support, and Hatred. As far as Ice Nova goes, I'm kind of playing around with different configurations. Add Val Ice Nova on there. Okay. Anomalous Ice Nova gives you increased damage with hits against chilled enemies, and because of the Ashes of the Stars actually get 72% increased damage. We're doing Awakened Elemental Focus Support, which stops you from being able to chill or do any ailments, but you get +1 skills, plus more LA damage. Anomalous Increased Critical Strike Support just gives you an extra 5% crit multi. Power charge on critical. This one's pretty important. You want to be able to get your max power charges as fast as possible. I played without this, and it takes, you gotta hit and kill some stuff before you actually get to max power charges. Getting to max power charges is how you get to 100% crit chance. Divergent Cyclone, just so you move a little faster. Level 6 cast on crit. So, Anomalous Determination. So this technically gives me 20% because of the increased effect of non-curse auras. And with this, as long as I've killed recently, then I'm immune. So it doesn't work on bosses, but it's fine. Level 20, Divergent Period of Ice. A little more penetrating cold resistance. But this is how you get to 90% with the Melding of the Flesh. Val Discipline. So, as your CI, you don't have any life. Your Val Discipline is actually your only real way of quickly getting energy shield. So it's like your life flask. And level 4 Enlighten. On the boots, just Molten Shell with increased duration. hypothermia linked to Frostblink. The reason why I use Frostblink and not like Flame Dash or Dash is because while you're cycloning, you can actually Frostblink and it won't stop you. You can just continuously Flame Dash, drops chilled ground, so it chills the enemies that are standing on it. So it's technically a 3-button build. One less build than the Vortex build, but I have Molten Shell on my left click. I can just run around. It's pretty much always up because of the increased duration. Now it's up for
and not before.
7 seconds. And then I have Cyclone on my right mouse button. And I just use spacebar for Vortex. You basically are just pretty quickly casting Vortex. And then you can still Frostblink around. You don't have to have Vortex on it. I just think it's nice and it helps. Especially when you're mapping, it just kills the stuff that's behind you, so you don't really have to worry about that. Yeah, we'll run a map here real quick, if I can get an idea of what it might look like. Strand in here somewhere. Just only one you can't really run is going to be increased cooldown. Cannot leech. Pretty rough because you are leeching energy shield. For multi, it's fine. Just you can kind of see how the build works. It's a regular, you know, everyday cast on crit build. So nothing special, but you know, it's super fun. Profane Bloom does a lot. And they move pretty quick too. As you see here.
Life is too precious to waste on you.
Being able to Frostblink while you're cycloning helps a lot. The target damage is pretty good. And the Profane Bloom just, it helps so much when you're mapping. Especially doing Delirious. Really anything, honestly. Except for bosses. If you want to, you can respec your tree and, you know, put 2 gems in there that will help you with just specific damage when you're doing a boss. If you don't want to use Profane Bloom, you just want Malediction. You could technically get the Profane Bloom Forbidden Flesh Jewels, but they're super expensive. So, like 80 Divine obviously seems like a lot too, but the Profane Bloom ones are like hundreds. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a super fun build. You know, it is expensive. It's one of those things that, especially if you're playing in standard, and you get something like a Mageblood and a Power Charge Ring, you know, just keep them. You can use them for tons and tons of builds. Especially something like this, Ash of the Stars. You know, double elevated boots. There's so many different builds that use this configuration right here. Any cast on crit build will need these. Alright, well thanks for watching. Make sure to like, drop me a comment if you have any questions, and subscribe.